Radio, Kiss FM, and of course Freedom FM. Remember, the number to call is 465-2555. That's 465-2555. As we remind you that before the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas makes his opening statement, we bring you some remarks by the Right Honorable Prime Minister at last week's symbolic groundbreaking for the Windswept Residence Club as well as the Ocean Grove cottages or villas. At this
I want
time,
to thank you, Bill,
we join the Right Honorable Prime
introduction. May I, of course, be allowed to recognize Your Excellency, Sir Edmund Lawrence, our Governor General, and Lady Lawrence, my distinguished cabinet colleagues. I recognize, of course, among them the Honorable Richard Skerritt, our Minister of Tourism, International Transport, etc., and his dear wife. Also, of course, Yuri Katz, and Hank, our two representatives of the investors and developers here. Mr. Buddy Darby and his dear family and friends who are here. Buddy really has been one of our pioneers here in St. Kitts-Nevis. I think he's the second Christopher Columbus among us. I want to also recognize Terence Crosman and Hermia Morton Anthony, those from the SIDF, the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, and our distinguished representatives of the business community, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the developers and the investors of these two real estate projects of Ocean Grove and the Windswept Residence Club. Firstly, for inviting me to make a few remarks at this groundbreaking ceremony this evening. And I warn you, it will be more than a few remarks. I believe that all of you here know that my government has a very solid reputation for encouraging private investment that is of good quality and that which is compatible with our country's development objectives, including the empowerment of our people and the sustainability of our island's environment and culture. I am therefore always pleased to see progress being made here at Christopher Harbour, a development vision that is shared by my government and a project that continues to be an important component of my government's economic transformation strategy. Like most other resort area developments in the Caribbean, I'm very much aware that Christopher Harbour has experienced various growth-related challenges and internal issues since the financial meltdown and global economic recession first began in the United States of America over 4 years ago. Consequently, some of the projects envisioned for Christopher Harbour have been moving at a much slower pace than was expected. However, I have chosen to join you for this ceremony because I continue to be convinced that the overall vision for Christopher Harbour and the millions of dollars that have been invested here so far are very important to my government's efforts to improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. I am also aware that many of our citizens have found good quality jobs here at Christopher Harbour. And I want to take this opportunity yet again to congratulate the management and staff of your two restaurants for the world-class cuisine and service quality levels, I should say, that you have been achieving in the marketplace of our travel and tourism sector. They deserve, of course, our round of applause. I also want to take this opportunity to publicly congratulate the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, the SIDF, the most talked about foundation in the world, for its decision to become a significant investor in Christopher Harbour on behalf of the people of our country and in the interest of the long-term opportunities and promise that Christopher Harbour continues to offer for the transformation of our economy. It is noteworthy that my political opponents vehemently opposed this decision by the SIDF to invest in Christopher Harbour. The owners of hundreds of acres of valuable land and other assets which far outweigh their liabilities. That is even more reason why we must all work together. I emphasize, work together to ensure that Christopher Harbour investments bring the returns expected by all of our stakeholders. And so this groundbreaking ceremony today is an important signal that this luxury mixed community and resort development area that we know as Christopher Harbour is continuing to recover from its recent challenges and difficulties, and that a new wave of construction growth is beginning right here, especially at the spot where we are today. I must, however, admit to you that as much as I enjoy the positive promises and the very good fellowship and the drinking of beverages involved in such events, I am not personally a great fan of private sector groundbreaking ceremonies. Why? It is because I have seen too many of such ceremonies over the course of our Caribbean region's history that have either progressed too slowly into real projects or have not progressed into the expected product at all. In this regard, I am reminded that it was only a few weeks ago that I made remarks at a similar groundbreaking ceremony at Banana Bay, the site of the future Park Hyatt Hotel, a project that has been undergoing much creative design and planning, and one that is most urgent to my government's overall IMF-facilitated economic recovery program. Prior to and again at that Park Hyatt event, I was promised by the developer that a general contractor would be appointed by September of this year, and that construction would start no later than the end of October. We are at the beginning of September, I remind you. I am therefore holding Christopher Harbour and their parent, and their partner, I should say, the range developments to that promise. And I take this opportunity to warn all concerned with the Park Hyatt project that I would be very, very disappointed if those promised deadlines are not met. But of course, Buddy is here, so they shall be met. These two new projects with which I am associating our government today include the Ocean Grove Villas, the product of a joint venture agreement between the Christopher Harbour Development Company and the Canada-based Apex Capital Partners Corporation. I want to thank especially Mr. Newey-Katz and his partners for preserving their dream and for also persevering on this particular dream for St. Kitts and for joining the long list of investors in Christopher Harbour. We look forward to the startup of construction of your villas, which will be located so strategically next to the area of the Pavilion Beach Club. This project is also significant because it is the first major investment to be put together in St. Kitts by a Russian group. We are an international country. Let us give them our applause. And so it is not, I should say, by any accident, therefore, that this investment comes at a time when my government is in the process of removing the requirement of an entry visa for Russian visitors. We see Russia as a new and desirable market for both investors and visitors for our country. And you can be assured that my government will continue to take the necessary steps to improve the flow of trade and investment between our two democratic countries. Based on my previous comments about the risk of private investment promises not turning into real projects for the benefit of our people, you will therefore understand why I am pleased that this ceremony is taking place within sight of an actual villa construction, which in the background, I am told, is part of the Windswept Residence Club project. I could not ask for better evidence than the project has actually commenced. I understand that the design and construction of these luxury villas will be of world-class quality. And I want to thank yet again Mr. Hank Hofford and his partners for bringing this project to Christopher Harbour and for continuing to have such high confidence, full high confidence in the future growth of St. Kitts and Nevis. You can applaud, of course. And so, ladies and gentlemen, these investment projects that have brought us here today are especially welcomed because they tell the story of an upsurge in investment here in St. Kitts and Nevis in a year that my government predicted will be the year for fiscal recovery and a return to economic growth. As I speak to you this evening, there are various other indicators that strongly suggest that our recovery is on full course. For example, I have been told that at the end of July, cargo imports through the St. Kitts Air and Seaports Authority are up considerably. General cargo imports are up by 54%. Lumber imports are up by 55%. And imports of aggregate are up by 136.6%. I also learned that vehicle imports are up by 45% over the 7 months in question. No wonder I notice Anthony and Kramer are smiling. Ladies and gentlemen, these really are simple but powerful indicators that our construction industry is again moving at a significant pace and that consumer confidence is returning to our economy after 3 years of financial and fiscal belt tightening. New investment by the public and private sector usually translate into the creation of new jobs and entrepreneurial activity, as well as better opportunities for improving the standard of living of our people. That is why the innovative PEP program of my government has so far this year placed over 2,000 persons into public and private sector jobs and job training programs on both St. Kitts and Nevis, and most of whom will be placed into permanent jobs and job creation opportunities as the PEP program progresses and our own economic growth of our country continues. I believe that you are aware that as important as Christopher Harbour is to our country's economic development equation, fortunately, there are several other private sector resort-type investments that are being executed elsewhere in our federation that are either well underway or will be commencing quite shortly. The impressive list includes Kitchen Hill, Marriott Residences, Manor International, Koi Resort, Pelican Bay, Imperial Bay, and Ocean's Edge. We also expect the Ocean Terrace Inn and the Frigate Bay Beach hotels to undergo major modernization projects quite shortly. In fact, Frigate Bay Beach, I believe, should be very shortly. When you add the numerous public sector investment projects that are now underway by my government, including the rehabilitation of the Sir Kennedy Simmons Highway and the major renovations to schools and public roads, you can more easily understand why our construction sector is now rolling along at a faster rate again. Although I am aware that much has been said to the contrary, my government continues to show our commitment, the commitment to improving the quality and safety of the public access road to this area of our island. And very clear evidence is there that we have already begun to spend heavily in this regard. I can therefore assure the owners and the residents of Frigate Bay and the Southeast Peninsula that their quality of road infrastructure is well on the way, and in fact on the way, I should say, to major improvement. In the final analysis, development, I emphasize, it is about people. And my government's impressive record of attracting private investment, along with our own ongoing public sector projects, they must be measured by the quality and sustainability of the jobs these investments are creating or saving, along with the improvement of the quality of lives of families that these jobs are supporting. I am very confident that the investors and the owners in Christopher Harbour, that they share this progressive outlook and they understand what exactly we are doing here as partners. You can therefore be assured, that my government's policy of public-private partnership, that it will continue. It will continue wherever and whenever our mutual development objectives can be realized. In closing, let me again congratulate all who have made this ceremony possible today, including the hard-working public sector employees who have facilitated the processing of various applications and the licenses that have been involved. And to the Christopher Harbour investment partners, I assure you of my government's continued support as we strive to meet our development objectives and deadlines together. And to the local working population, the workforce that will be here at Christopher Harbour over the next few years. We are doing this not for ourselves as government, but we do this for you, for your families, for our citizens and those who will come after us. Thank you, and may God bless you all today.
The Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil L. Douglas, speaking at last week's symbolic groundbreaking for two projects on the Southeast Peninsula at Sandy Bank. As we await the presentation by the Right Honourable Prime Minister, we have some good news for you in the area of tourism. While St. Kitts and Nevis's Minister of Tourism, Senator the Honourable Richard Ricky Skerritt, is elated with the improvement of St. Kitts' cruise tourism ranking among the 21 Caribbean destinations in 2012 compared to 2009, there are worrying signs in some categories. An international survey carried out by the United States company Business Research and Economic Advisors, BREA, based on feedback from visitors about their experience to the 21 cruise destinations in the Caribbean, It found St. Kitts improved its ranking in the overall visit, meeting expectations, taxi local transportation, historic sites and museums, and tour satisfaction categories. Now, out of 21 Caribbean countries, the overall visit ranking for St. Kitts is number 2 in 2012, up from number 4 in 2009, according to Minister Skerritt. He said St. Kitts is flat on prices and return for vacations. We are number 5 for likeliness of coming back to the island, which is a good measure. In the category of visit met expectations, we are up from 3rd place to 2nd place. We have done very well in every other one, but let me tell you, the ones that concern me right now. In the category Initial Shore Side Welcome, we have dropped from number 4 in 2009 to number 6 in 2012 out of 21 countries. Although one might say that number 6 is a good ranking, the fact that we have dropped is a worrisome sign, and the fact that we have dropped is because we continue to have this issue with visitors on arrival being harassed because everybody is overly anxious to get at the visitor and to get money out of their pockets. Tourism Minister Skerritt told Good Morning St. Kitts and Nevis that other concerns is that of the friendliness of residents. We were number 1 in 2009, and now we are down to number 2, adding, although it's a small drop, it is also worrying. Courtesy of employees were number 1 in 2009, and we have dropped to number 3 in 2012 out of 21 destinations. And you can read about this in the newspapers as well as on CUOPM.com. That's www.cuopm.com. There's also another interesting news item coming out from that interview with Minister Skerritt. He has disclosed that St. Kitts' 2013-2014 cruise ship season is going to be exciting, with an estimated 785,000, that's 785,000 passengers expected. What's exciting about this coming season is that we have 183 ship days. In other words, in a calendar year, for the first time in the history of St. Kitts, we have passed about 130 in terms of ship days. We have gone up significantly by the number of ship days, and that means that over the course of 365 days on average, every other day there will be a ship in the port of Bastia. He described the upcoming season as phenomenal for a small island like St. Kitts. Minister Skerritt noted that during the winter season there will be 103 days when there will be one ship. There will be 49 days when there will be 2 ships. That's also the largest number of days when we will have 2 ships in our history. There will be 22 days when we will have 3 ships in port, which means 2 at Port Zante and 1 at the commercial pier at Bird Rock. There will be 6 days when we will have 4 ships, and for the first time in our history, we are going to have 3 days when we will have 5 ships in port. He said even the conservative figure of 750,000 cruise passengers during the 2013-2014 winter season places St. Kitts in the big league. Mr. Skerritt added, last year we were at about just 600,000, so it's a massive increase this year. 2 years ago we were able to bring the Allure of the Seas, which is called an Oasis-class ship, as a test case, and that has proven to the world the capacity of our port at Port Zante. Mr. Skerritt said St. Kitts is also having more cruise ship business in the summer, and that cannot be underestimated. It only began back in 2008, he said, when for the first time in the nation's entire cruise ship history, which goes back to the early 1990s, that we began to have scheduled summer calls. We never had any calls in the summer before that, he added. At this time, we provide you with some information, some interesting information from the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union member states with regards to the gross domestic product by economic activity in constant prices 2006, estimated in the millions of dollars. And here are some very important points from the data highlighted. Over the period 2001 through 2011, where actual data exist, the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis grew at an average rate of 2.5%. That's 2.5%. Similarly, for the period 2001 to 2014, growth is expected to amount to 2.3%. That's 2.3%. St. Kitts and Nevis is expected to report the third highest rate of economic growth in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union region between 2001 and 2014. St. Kitts and Nevis has performed relatively well, exceeding the average growth rate for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union over the period 2001 to 2014. And it is important to note also that during the period 2007 to 2012, where the world experienced the worst financial and economic contraction since the 1930s, St. Kitts-Nevis contracted a mere 0.46% from 2009 to 2013. That's 2009-2013. Why wasn't the damage more severe? It could be due to the resilience of the St. Kitts and Nevis economy and indicative of a sound macroeconomic environment despite the relative challenges from domestic and external shocks. We also give you some information with regards to the gross domestic product country by country for the years 2001 to 2011. The GDP for Anguilla, 2.41%. Antigua and Barbuda, down 3.19%. Dominica, down 2.0%. That's 2.04%. Montserrat, 0.30%. Grenada, down 2.02%. St. Kitts and Nevis, growth of 4.99%. That's 4.99%. St. Lucia, down 4.81%. And St. Vincent, 1.71%. The average for the ECCU in 2001, down 1.12%, whereas St. Kitts' growth rate was 4.99%. For 2002, Anguilla, negative growth 3.81%. Antigua and Barbuda, positive growth of 2.92%. Dominica, negative growth of 2.04%. Montserrat, positive growth 2.33%. Grenada, positive growth 3.44%. St. Kitts and Nevis, positive growth 2.49%. St. Lucia, negative growth 0.05%. and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, positive growth of 6.32% in 2002. In 2003, Anguilla, 5.65% positive growth. Antigua and Barbuda, 5.91% positive growth. Dominica, 7.86%, that should read 7.66% positive growth. Montserrat, 0.49% positive growth. Grenada, 9.46% positive growth. St. Kitts and Nevis, 2.49% negative growth. St. Lucia, 0.05% positive growth. And here's corrections, that's 4.70% positive growth. St. Vincent, 7.69% positive growth. 2004, Anguilla, 14.13% positive growth. Antigua and Barbuda, 5.29%. Dominica, 2004, 2.63%. Montserrat, 4.70%. Grenada, 0.65%. St. Kitts and Nevis, positive growth, 4.15%. St. Lucia, positive growth, 7.53%. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 4.16%. In 2005, Anguilla, positive growth, 13.13%. Antigua and Barbuda, 6.08%. Dominica down, 0.32%. Montserrat, 3.04%. Grenada, 13.27%. St. Kitts and Nevis, 8.93% positive growth in 2005. St. Lucia down 1.25%. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 2.49%. For 2006, Anguilla, 20.28%. In 2006, 13.38 for Antigua and Barbuda, 4.57 Dominica, 0.65 for Montserrat, Grenada 3.99, St. Kitts and Nevis 5.97, St. Lucia 8.95, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines 7.66. 2007, Anguilla 13.34, Antigua and Barbuda 9.50, Dominica 5.96, Montserrat 3.15, Grenada 8.12, St. Kitts and Nevis 2.83, St. Lucia 1.62, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 3.30. For 2008, Anguilla down 1.45, Antigua and Barbuda 0.07, Dominica 7.82, Montserrat 4.48, Grenada 0.95, St. Kitts and Nevis 4.82, St. Lucia 5.11, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.62. 2009 for Anguilla 1.45, Antigua and Barbuda 0.07, Dominica 7.82, Montserrat 4.48, Grenada 0.95, St. Kitts and Nevis 4.62, St. Lucia 5.11, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.62. In 2009, Anguilla 18.41 minus, Antigua and Barbuda 12.04 minus, Dominica 1.13 minus, Montserrat 0.46 minus, Grenada 6.66 minus, St. Kitts and Nevis 6.01 minus, St. Lucia 0.38, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines minus 2.29, an average in the ECCU of 6.05 minus. 2010, Anguilla minus 4.34, Antigua and Barbuda 7.14, Dominica 1.20 up, positive, Montserrat 3.63 negative, Grenada 0.35 negative, St. Kitts-Nevis 0.23, St. Lucia 0.36, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines minus 3.35. And for 2011, Anguilla 4.54, Antigua and Barbuda 2.82 down, Dominica 1.01, Montserrat in at 2.00, Grenada 0.97, St. Kitts-Nevis 1.69, St. Lucia 1.39, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines 0.67. The estimate for 2012 for Anguilla down 6.81, Antigua and Barbuda 2.33, Dominica minus 1.46, Montserrat 1.37, Grenada 0.82 down, St. Kitts and Nevis 1.07 down, St. Lucia 3.04, St. Vincent 1.52. 2013, the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union countries, Anguilla 0.21, Antigua and Barbuda 2.41, Dominica 1.12, Montserrat is in at 0.92, Grenada 1.23, St. Kitts and Nevis 2.85, St. Lucia 2.68, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.13. Finally, for 2014, the estimate for the ECCU countries, Anguilla 0.66, Antigua and Barbuda 2.65, Dominica 1.43, Montserrat 1.61, Grenada 1.53, St. Kitts and Nevis 2.90, St. Lucia 3.22, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines 1.47. We also remind you that over the period 2001 through 2011, where actual data exist, the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis grew at an average rate of 2.5%. At this time, we take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with you.
Be the Caribbean's newest millionaire if you are the lucky winner of the whopping $4,390,000 Super Lotto jackpot. Draws are held every Tuesday and Friday, so get your ticket now. Play Super Lotto today and win big.
You have to be in it to win it for Lotto.
Builders Paradise is having its biggest blowout sale yet for 2013. Everything in the store is ridiculously cheap. This includes ceiling fans as cheap as $228.20, exterior doors $325.73, interior exterior diamond collection 5-gallon satin paint $171.41, 5-gallon semi-gloss paint, $187.20. Roofing galvanized for as little as $49.42. Joint compound, $59.67. Panel boards, $73.48. Bathroom sinks, $87.75. PVC windows, $347.07. Tile cement as cheap as $32.01. 18 by 18 ceramic tiles, $4.70. 16 by 16 tiles, $4.21. And 13 by 13 tiles, $3.21. VAT included. These prices are good while stock lasts. So hurry and catch Eddie's crazy sale. And remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. Give us a call at 466-4938 or fax 466-4939. Check us in Nevis at the Spencer Howell Building, 469-7499 or 662-4748. Builders Paradise, we do it cheaper for you. It's Builders Paradise, where island dreams begin. Your number one source for building materials.
We got the hardware, hammer, we got it. Pliers, we got it. Lumber, we got it. We deliver, yes, we deliver. We deliver.
We're 30. The Federation of St. Kitts-Nevis is 30.
That's right.
And to celebrate our 30th anniversary of independence, Hortsputz Automotive presents a grand 30 sale.
Say what?
Yes, Hortsputz Automotive 30 sale.
That's right, y'all.
With every purchase of a new vehicle for the month of September, you get 30% less VAT, 30% off first-year insurance premium, 30% off bill of sale, 30 gallons free gasoline, 30 days deferred payment on financing, plus free servicing for 1 year, free tinting, free accessories, free registration, free licensing, 10% down payment on financing over 7 years. Hortsputz Automotive Independence 30 sale. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back, listeners, to ZIZ Radio, Choice FM on Nevis, Kiss FM, and Freedom FM. And we've been joined by the Right Honourable Prime Minister, who was unavoidably delayed. And Prime Minister, I think it's time that we open up the lines and take some questions from our listeners. But before we do that, good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning, Erasmus. I want to really apologize to our listeners today. I wanted to make some statements pertaining to the recent installation of the new president of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, and also, of course, to challenge our young people who are now entering our schools and colleges and universities for the first time in their lives, and those who are continuing. But we realize, of course, that we have been delayed, and maybe what we can do is really entertain a number of questions, and I'll make my comments pertaining to the installation of Dr. Kelvin Daly on another occasion.
Thank you very much, and remember the number to call is 465-2555. That's 465-2555 as we go to the phone lines and we say good morning. Ask the PM.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Erasmus.
Good morning.
I am just calling to ask the Prime Minister if there is VAT on school books and school uniforms. Because many of the places like School Apex, Sun Island, they're charging VAT and uniforms. So I would like him to answer us, please, because it's not easy for parents to pay VAT and uniform and school books. That is my question. Thank you.
I want to thank our first caller for introducing a very, very important question into our discussion today. That is the payment, the charge and payment of VAT on school books and uniforms. As we have said, all educational items are supposed to be zero VATed or no VAT, or unvatable, I should say, or VAT exempt, either zero VATed or VAT exempt. Specifically with regard to school books and uniforms, I must check with the relevant schedule to determine whether it is so. If it is not so, it shall be corrected. And so I would want to give myself the opportunity to check and then make the necessary adjustments accordingly. But the caller has introduced a very important question. We've had a similar situation some time ago with chalk. And then when we realized that this was an item that was not listed in the schedule, we had to add it to the schedule eventually. So we will do the same if it is not so. But I don't know, and I will check.
As we go back to the phone lines and we say good morning to our next caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Williams. Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, this is the girl we always call as Jan. I just want to read a little passage of scripture for you from Psalms 27 and verse 9 says, "Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation." I hope and pray and trust that this passage of scripture, it means a lot to you. And Mr. Prime Minister, just continue to do your work of the government from Janice and...
I want to thank our second caller, who identified herself as Janice Hanley. I want to thank her for her very comforting words that have been lifted from the Bible itself. Hide not thy face, hide not thy face from me, etc. I want to thank Janice very much for these very comforting and uplifting words.
As we go back to the phone lines and we say good morning. Good morning. Can you turn your radio, the volume of your radio down, please?
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
I called to talk about the welfare. I was a first timer, and I wasn't satisfied with the $76. And when I went to purchase the uniform, I still had to add my money to get the stuff. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
So?
You said you have been assisted
a first timer.
First time.
First timer?
You had to purchase the welfare, like to go and get the uniforms?
Yes.
Yes. And the voucher was $76. So when I went to Lucy, I still had to add my money to purchase the uniforms.
Well, how many uniforms were you?
It's only two shirts and 2 bottoms.
And it cost more than the $76?
Yes.
Were they going to cover the entire cost of the 2 uniforms, or they were just subsidizing it?
I guess so, but I don't know.
So did you have difficulties in finding the rest?
Yes.
How much the total cost was?
It was like $80-something.
And you only had 76 from the voucher?
Yes.
So you had to add $10 of your own?
Oh, yes.
I suspect maybe it was expected to be so, or maybe the price has gone up since the Ministry of Community and Social Development made the estimated cost for the uniforms. I will check and see whether it was intended to be short by $10 for you to put in $10, or whether the welfare expected you to, whether the welfare expected to cover all, and maybe they fell short because of the price of the uniforms.
Okay.
Okay?
I want to make an appointment to see you, please.
Okay, can you give your name, number of the air, so that we can make arrangements for you to see me?
Okay, thanks.
All right, dear.
Thank you very much. As we go to the phone lines and we say good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Erasmus.
Good morning.
And good morning to the Prime Minister.
Good morning, sir.
Prime Minister, you have introduced a subject matter that I have serious problem with, and that is gay, lesbian, and homosexual rights. I believe anybody
You don't believe
wants...
that they have rights?
Well, I've said you introduced it.
What do you mean by I introduced it? Don't
Well,
you
you say
believe
you
that
wanted
they have
to be...
rights?
You say you wanted it to be debated.
Right, okay.
But, Prime Minister, you, with due respect, have said many things about those people or who you suspect are involved on your political rostrum.
No. Come,
you have beat them down.
No.
You want me to quote you?
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. You have never heard me make any derogatory remark pertaining to gays, lesbian, or homosexuals in terms of their rights and in terms specifically of their conduct.
So when you speak about conduct of persons that you insinuate are involved in such activity, when you yourself say they must come public and let the people know which side they're on, and you laugh it off.
What do you mean by that? Terry, let me make it absolutely clear.
Yeah.
And you know me by now. If I have something to say,
I think I know you more than much.
If I have something to say, I say it. I believe that people have a right to choose their sexual orientation. I believe that they have that right, but in St. Kitts-Nevis, there are specific laws which I believe all of us should be guided by. The matter of the rights of gays, lesbians, transsexuals, homosexuals, whatever, are matters which are presently in the public domain for discussion and for debate and comment. I have never personally enforced my feelings pertaining to these matters on the general public. As a leader of this country, these are matters that have come to the fore. I consider myself one of the leaders in the free world that have been called upon from time to time to express leadership roles on matters of this kind, especially as they impact upon the management and the control of the pandemic associated with HIV/AIDS.
Well, I'm going to leave now, Prime Minister, but before leaving, I believe something very close to you have made you change your position.
Change my position?
Change your position. You
I
see,
have never changed my position.
You're a very tactful man, and I must give that to you. And you know when to change your position. You like to win.
Terry, I
you
have
like to win,
never,
Prime Minister.
I have never changed my position.
And so, when I hear Minister Cathy saying certain things, and you're on the warpath, boy, you like that, then I know what is going on. You have a nice day.
Let me try to respond very, very quickly to this caller, because there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding as to where my stance is on this matter. As I said, I have always spoken out in terms of the rights of such persons. And a lot of people have completely misunderstood my position on this matter on the political platform, as I have tried to bring to the attention to the people of this country what people have the right to do. In fact, very shortly, I believe the leaders of political parties will be asked what is their opinion and their party's opinion on these matters. Very, very shortly, the debate will come to that point where persons who are in leadership roles of political parties, who are in leadership roles as stakeholders in our country, will be asked their specific position on these matters. It is not in any way to condemn, but I believe it is in a way to bring to the fore knowledge and understanding of who we all are as we prepare ourselves in leadership roles in this country. Let's move on.
Just a reminder, you're listening to another edition of Ask the Prime Minister. We go back to the phone lines and we say good morning. Ask the PM.
Yes. Good morning, Honorable Prime Minister.
Good morning.
Work the while holding on. And good morning to Mr. Williams as well.
Good morning.
So it is almost agreed by everyone here in St. Kitts that this vote of no confidence is very bogus. And I want you to listen very carefully to me this morning. The vote of no confidence is all about, they say, fight, grudge, revenge against the very people who put them in office to serve them. And vengeance, they say, for wanting to throw them out from the party and at the party conference because of their lack of respect for the leader and party. Those fellows showed no respect for the doctrine of collective responsibility. Here are some lessons, sir, for you, sir, and for the people. And listen to them carefully. The rules. Every member who participates or is supposed to participate in a decision-making group is, one, equally responsible for the consequences of the decision-making or the decision-taking. You understand that? Mm-hmm. Equally responsible for the consequences of the decision-taking. Two, should fully support and abide by the group decision, whether or not he or she participated in the decision-making process. Otherwise, three, should resign from the group. That's what I'm talking about, is for the doctrine of collective responsibility. That is sound speech that cannot be condemned. Those guys showed no respect whatsoever for the doctrine of collective responsibility. It was their way and not the way of the majority. Do what we say or face the wrath of PAM, PAM Labour Party and CCM. With a vote of no confidence, we must get what we want, and we want it now. They say, whether it is a Judas or to sell out or to give away, there was never ever a plan in the minds of the opposition, sir, for a vote of no confidence. But it's because of those two who set it up. That's why we have it here today. They're talking about President Sept, Mr. Prime Minister. All the way in England, they're taking us for not bringing a vote of no confidence to Parliament. But playing smart, forgetting the President Sept right here in St. Kitts by PAM in 1981 and 1982. England do not have a constitution. St. Kitts have one. Then, no moral obligation is the next issue I want to tell you. It must not be part of the way. It must be used. It must not be used for convenience. It must be all the way. How can it start with putting the vote of no confidence in the Parliament? Where is the logical sequence, starting with the undermining, the taking of sensitive documents to the enemy, to the pledge made at the party conference, transferring Labour votes to elsewhere, planning the vote of no confidence against their own party and government, not supporting the party in Parliament. Last but not least, the failure to resign. No moral obligation for all the above. But first, and before we go to the vote of no confidence, are being tabled. So all that I said earlier, where is the moral obligation for that before we come to the stage of a vote of no confidence being tabled? Finally, sir, it seems to me that this so-called praying group had a Tower of Babel experience. And I'll show you now about the Tower of Babel experience. They were so confused, talking in tongue, that the proclaimed First Lady struck up the Labour theme, "We shall not be moved." Mr. Prime Minister, we need leadership in the Federation we can trust. We have such a leader in Prime Minister Douglas. in the Labour Party, a party of youth and experience. It is said only NIP and NRP could find a leader to step up to the plate with this Dr. Douglas. Have a good day, sir. And remember what I told you about the doctrine of collective responsibility. What happens? Thank you very much, sir.
I want to thank our caller for reminding us about the doctrine of collective responsibility. And we need always to go back to this when one ponders on where we are after the introduction of the motion of no confidence to the clerk of the House of the National Assembly, the clerk of the National Assembly some few months ago. Because you see, again, the caller raised the important question. If you are part of a cabinet and you do not agree with the majority view of the cabinet of which you are a part, a cabinet which would have taken specific decisions, then the only thing that you are left to do is to shut up or get out. You either shut up or you resign. If you choose to remain in the cabinet, then based on the doctrine of collective responsibility, you become part and parcel of the decision that has been taken. If you cannot allow the decision taken to bind you along the principle of the doctrine of collective responsibility, then you get out. Also, of course, if you refuse to get out, you refuse to resign, either from the party, from the cabinet, or from the parliament, then of course you stand the risk of being seriously accused of having no moral fiber in you, for wanting to have your cake and still eating it at the same time. Let's move on.
As we go back to the phone lines, 465-2555. Good morning. Ask the PM.
Hey, the boss, good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to the listening public.
Morning, sir.
The boss, I am very, absolutely proud of the people them on the PEP program. Friday, I went to a hairdresser salon to dye me hair. When they see me come in, they say, Granny, come in, come do here. Right? So I went in and I sit. And the girls them from the PEP program, they hang it. All the lady was just doing was just looking. And they did what they had to do. They took me to wash me hair. Nicely done. I commended those girls. I even bought them lunch for a job they did. And they tell me that dyeing me hair is for me both. I say, wow. Okay then.
Happy birthday, Granny.
No, he ain't come yet. Saturday. The boss, I don't really know why he's no vote of confidence, right? But I heard the opposition was referring to a no vote of confidence from South Africa. And they was basing it like, what going on here in St. Kitts. Now, this morning I was actually reading the paper for the no vote of confidence from South Africa. But it come like the people them who referring to the no vote of confidence don't read in the front of the paper. Because they ain't reading the ending to and telling the people them that it didn't happen. The people them tell them, but the magistrate or whoever tell them it dismiss, it can't happen for whoever they're trying to prove. They don't know nothing about that. Secondly, no, that's thirdly. First, second, third. Or thirdly, the people them of Gillard's Meadow wants to tell you thanks for the new paving of the road now. Here's in St. Peter's. A lady jumped in my bus yesterday and she tell me that she feel, very proud now. In case rain come in, a bus could actually take her down quick and reach back up. Also, I just want to tell the young people them out there that a certain person come to me and telling me that why the people them saying that the people them who cutting grass is meaningless. Now, I know nothing could be meaningless if you put your heart into whatever you're doing. And if the people don't go out there and keep on telling young people that what they're doing ain't mean nothing, right? I mean, the people them out there saying it. I'm sure I got somebody cutting our grass, because I ain't cutting our own grass. And this is how easy part landscaping start, right? And if every time you want to call on young people, how can you reach somewhere in life, right, to achieve something? Because this year young people, you want to follow you, right? So if you keep on doing it, I'm going to keep on standing up for the same young people, them, you'll keep on bringing down. Lastly, what was the last thing I had to say again now? I don't forget and all. Throw us a wax with this young people story. The boss, they need to stop it. They need to stop bringing down the young people, them, and telling them that they can't achieve nothing in life. And the people them who they still want the land paper, them have still got them gain. Right? Anything I want, I come to me, I reach to the PM and the PM and solve the problem and I'll come back to her. Right, the boss?
That is correct.
Yeah, they keep on saying that they can't reach nowhere. But we're going to reach somewhere together here.
We have to.
Yes. And on the terms of tourism, when the press was speaking, no, about 2 Fridays back, your ex-minister, right, was talking about tourism. And I said to myself, how come this man could speak about tourism when he went on the platform and said that Cuba is a communist country? Well, which part tourists they come from? I know tourists don't come from one part of the place, that they come from all over. Now, if you're going to say that Cuba is a communist country, that means you ain't want nobody from Cuba come to your place as a tourist, right? And I think that is definitely wrong, and it's not what really it's about time that this man needs to apologize. He needs to apologize to the nation. Up to Friday, I said when Dr. Joe was on Freedom, right, when they played the clip, and at the same time, they playing the clip. I was coming from St. Peter's with some passengers in the bus. And the passengers, them even said that he wrong. He should have never said something like that. And it's about time now. He should apologize. He should. The boss enjoy the rest of your day. And hope to see you soon. I don't know when you're going to make to see me or me I make to see you, but no.
Okay.
Okay, then.
I want to thank our last caller, Granny, for a lot of very, very worthwhile comments that have been made. And to say to him, this morning I received some calls, yes, from people who are living in the Gillard Meadows area for the roadworks that are now presently being constructed and improved. And I want to commend the Minister of Works, the Ministry of Public Utilities, etc., for providing continuing service to our people by provisions of improved roads. There are still some areas, of course, that work needs to be done. I know in Old Road, in West Bastille, I've been in West Bastille a few days ago, especially those two streets, or those side streets connecting Millionaire Street and the main avenue, Weekly Avenue. Streets are in terrible conditions there. They need to be resurfaced, and I hope that they can be done very quickly. Also, there are some places in Newton Ground, we've heard, and several places around the island where people are waiting for roadworks to be done. So I want to commend the people in particular of Gillard Meadow for their roadworks which are now being underway. I'm sure that my own people in St. Paul's and also Sadler's, some areas there that need to have some road work done. And we're hoping that eventually we will get around to all of these. I want to join with Granny as well to continue to shore up and to lift up our young people, especially those who are making use of the opportunities through the PEP to acquire very important lifelong skills. The idea of the PEP again is to provide opportunities for young, not so young, even elderly people, if they wish to acquire certain skills and to be able to perform at a different level in the new services economy that we are creating here in St. Kitts-Nevis. We continue to say that as we allow them the opportunity to be trained and to acquire important skills, once the economy begins to tick up and work is being provided with more hotels coming on the stream, where those who are doing the cosmetology studies and acquiring skills in that area would then be able to find gainful employment or even to start up their own businesses again with the assistance of the SIDF. We know that our young people will make their mark on life as they hold their own and make very positive strides in developing their lives and the lives of their families. I remember my very first visit to Europe. I actually had gone to Brussels, and I remember the morning I looked out of my hotel window and I saw a gentleman, a white man, well dressed in his jacket and tie, and there he was mowing the lawn and cutting down the bushes with pride. And so those people who continue to condemn our young people here and saying that all that they are able to do is to cut grass, I don't know since when people who are interested in making landscaping a business, I don't see why we have to condemn them and say that all that they are doing is cutting grass. And I want to say to our young people, and not so young, all who are engaged in these kind of activities, all kinds of work, it's noble. It is noble. Working is noble. It's a noble cause. And whether you're cutting grass or you are doing landscaping, you are the engineer, and you are, in fact, if you want to call yourself the soil engineer, as a matter of that, that's what you are. Your work is noble. And as I said, coming from my setting here in the Caribbean and seeing this white man, and looked out my window the very first morning in Europe, I said, my God, this is what it is like in a different part of the world. Pride he was as he mowed that lawn, pushing the lawnmower with his instruments attached to his side, under his coat. And I'm not talking about a cloak or anything. He was in a suit, in his jacket, in his tie, and he was doing his work as he saw it as being noble. All work is noble. And so young people, I don't care how much they want to condemn you. Your work is noble work. Your pep is pepping you up, and your SIDF is there to assist you in the improvement of your life. Let's move on.
Okay, let's take 3 quick calls. The 3 persons are on the line. Good morning. Ask the PM.
Good morning, Rasmus. Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, PM. How are you doing this morning, PM?
I am fine. And
PM?
What about you?
I'm not too bad. I'm kind of down this morning because of the latest news that I received from home about a member of my family. It got me under the weather, but I try not to go too deep under the weather. PM, I want to ask, before I touch that point, I want to ask you a question before, because I go out there and just be arguing my political point. But I want to know, what's the meaning of the word of no confidence they want to bring against you? What is the meaning of that? And also, what it takes for them to bring that no word of confidence against you, as far as we see you, not the government against you. What is that? Could you please tell me what it's all about, that I could understand that when I'm arguing my points out there, I know what I'm arguing about?
Right.
Next thing again that learning about and hearing, because yesterday I was on Eastern Parkway and the topic was about the St. Kitts with politically, talking about you. And the things they were saying, I really just couldn't stand up and listen to them because I was getting too emotional and too conflict. Too much. It was a conflict of interest for me at that time. So I moved on from that. You need to just keep your head above water, PM, and look up to God and pray every day, every night. Just ask God for guidance because without His mercy towards you, I don't know what to say, you will already gone, but God have you. And you just continue praying. And also, I will continue praying, asking God to guide you and give you the faith and energy to go on in this world against these people that trying to bring you down. Instead of lift the country up, they's bringing down the country. Like one guy yesterday is telling me that he read an SKM that St. Kitts had over 60-something murders in his space of 6 months. And I tell him, you didn't see that. You're instigating that. Stop bringing down St. Kitts. You all must stop. Stop trying to bring down Denzel Douglas like he's a wolf or something eating up the people in St. Kitts. You all must stop it. Stop it. I and you are not home. And people who come from home telling me how St. Kitts is progressing and you is saying these things and you is not home. What you read in SKM Vibes is garbage. It's garbage. Don't you know who run SKM Vibes?
I don't believe he read that on SKM Vibes anyway. I don't think so.
So I tell him, even this other guy near Aubrey, he was an ex-police from home. He tell him, no, you're instigating, stop it. And there was a guy from home also from Sandy Point. He was a police, I don't know if he's still. He said, no, you all can, no, even though I don't back the Labour Party, no, you all shouldn't say that because it's not true. It's not true. And I had felt proud to hear him stand up and say that. I had felt proud. And Tim, with this thing that I'm talking, I don't know if you heard about it over the weekend that someone got raped in Phillips's.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Saturday? Well, I don't know. My aunt, that's my aunt, Louisa. Some guy from Molyneux, she was somewhere in Phillips's, she worked in Wrigley. And she was on her way back from to go up, and this guy, they say some go via, I don't know him, with her. But I understand they catch him. They catch him. PM, I just wanted to, I'm not there to give them my support, and if you could give them your support, for me, I will be appreciated, because it hurts me. It's only, when it hit home, what's down, what's really caused this thing. I don't know why he had to rape my aunt.
Okay, caller, you cannot continue.
72 years old.
All right, okay.
So, do that for me, PM, and keep the good work up, okay?
All right,
Take care. I love you. All the best.
We want to empathize with our last caller who seems to be very much traumatized with some information of an alleged indecent assault or indecent, what should I say, alleged assault, sexual assault on one of her relatives. And so we empathize with her at this time. And we also want to bring comfort to the family that, and to the victim, the alleged victim, who must have had a experienced a terrible ordeal, if what we're hearing here is correct. So we want to express our support for the family, who must have suffered intensely as a result of this. But I think the caller made a very quick question, wanting to ask me about what is really the motion of no confidence, what it is about. Motion of no confidence is a parliamentary democratic tool that is used to test whether a government is able to continue to perform its role as a government in Parliament and out of Parliament. And in our case, the motion of no confidence was brought, as the caller herself indicated, and as you heard earlier in this program by one of our callers, it was mainly instigated by two of our former Labour colleagues who, because they felt that the party in conference did not have the right to attempt to discipline them for their conduct and their behavior, eventually sided with the opposition and instigated this motion to attempt to bring the government down. But the thing about the motion of no confidence, in this case, it is very unusual, or when put to constitutional test, it falls short of what is the normal constitutional-based motion of no confidence as used in parliamentary settings. Because this was a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister and not in the government, which is what is being referenced in the Constitution pertaining to this matter. You don't have a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister. You have a motion of no confidence in the Parliament pursued in this particular way, in the government. And as a result of that motion of no confidence, under normal circumstances, it is brought to the Parliament at the appropriate time, as is expressed through the wishes of the Speaker, or if there is a committee that sets the agenda of the Parliament, that committee will make its input and have the matter heard at an early, convenient time in the Parliament of that particular country. In our case, our motion fell short of it being a constitutionally based motion in several ways, and also being guided by what would have been the established practice in our own Parliament here in St. Kitts-Nevis. The motion of no confidence under the Simmons administration, twice it was brought, was never heard, really, in our Parliament. And it seems as though this one, of course, I hope it will not follow the pattern of the Simmons administration, but will be heard at some appropriate time. It has not been heard at this moment because the matter is now in the court. The matter was taken to the court by the opposition, who attempted to use the court, I should say, to force the Speaker of our National Assembly to bring the matter to the Parliament. And naturally, as a result of that being placed into the court, a number of other judicial matters arose, so that the Speaker is now waiting on the court as well to be guided accordingly on matters pertaining to this motion. But what is significant, as one of our callers earlier said today, there has been a similar situation in the Parliament of South Africa, the Republic of South Africa. And just last week, the Speaker was advised, and the Parliament was advised, and the opposition was very strongly advised and condemned by the court that it cannot in any way direct the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of South Africa to bring a motion of no confidence to the parliamentary agenda for it to be heard. In fact, I think what the judge in that case was saying, what needs to happen is for the Parliament to sit down and pass relevant laws that will thus allow the Parliament and the Speaker to be guided by when a motion of no confidence should be heard or should not be heard. Very similar situation to what we have here in St. Kitts-Nevis. And presently in my own government, my cabinet is looking at that very same matter that the judge has given direction on in South Africa. That maybe what needs to happen is that the Parliament should, if it is able to, whether by an ordinary law or by the amendment of the Constitution should ensure that the necessary structures are in place so that the Speaker and the Parliament can be guided whenever a motion of no confidence comes to it, being guided as to when it can be heard in the Parliament of the country. And we are looking at very similar situations. It's very, very interesting that our own Speaker, the Honourable Curtis Martin, is in South Africa at this very moment. It would appear as if because of similarities in situations that he was experiencing and what was happening in South Africa, he is going to be speaking on behalf of the CPA. He is going to be speaking on his role as Speaker of the National Assembly in St. Kitts-Nevis as it impacts on the Commonwealth. And so the motion of no confidence here in St. Kitts-Nevis has at least brought the attention of the Commonwealth on matters which are operated here, and to a large extent our Speaker, it would appear, has been elevated to high positions in being asked by the Commonwealth to go to South Africa and represent at least our part of the world on matters pertaining to the parliamentary practices. This is positive for us, and I think what is happening in South Africa is exactly what the Speaker himself had been saying here. We are not certain whether the court can direct the Speaker to bring a motion of no confidence to the Parliament at the time when the parliamentarians on the opposite side who brought it to the clerk of the House that it should be heard. So this is very interesting development. The ruling of the court in South Africa has to a large extent proven our position right, and I think the opposition here was very much aware of the open condemnation it would have received by the court here, why it sought at the last moment to withdraw the matter from the court before it was heard. But nevertheless, I think we have always been right in our position that the court cannot direct and dictate to the Speaker when a matter is to be brought to the Parliament. That is our position, and it was the opposition that caused this matter to be so delayed by going to the court. And we know all along that the court was going to prove them wrong. However, there are certain matters still in the court on this particular motion, and so we await the ruling of the court before we can proceed on this very important matter. Thank you. I want to use this opportunity, of course, to wind up and to bring today's program to an end. As we started, again, we apologize for the delay in my being able to first introduce today's topic and then to respond earlier to questions. Nevertheless, I think a number of things have come out. We had, again, the matter of VAT on school items, education items. This has to be looked at. We also had the matter of the Ministry of Community and Social Development continuing to provide support for our families who are in need in terms of the school uniform. And we had a caller who was wondering whether her demand, or the demand, I would say, on her to pay an extra $10 to complete the purchases of her children's uniform, whether it was intended that she would make an input or whether the ministry would make provide full cost for these items. I believe that we are aware of the difficulties that the government itself is experiencing, and so subsidizing, not necessarily granting full cost for these items is what the government's intention is. Government intends to assist and not to in any way replace the support that families should be providing for their own members. But we, as I said, provide support. We provide, to a large extent, subsidy. And so I will still check to see what exactly was the intention in this case. The matter of gay, lesbian, homosexual, transsexual rights, these are matters which are current in our country in terms of debate and discussion. And we would want to hear the views of all of our stakeholders, especially those who are in positions of authority and leadership and who would want to lead us in our parliaments and in our country. We would want to hear their views and not just the views of people who think that the government must just simply say yea or nay. We want to have the views of everyone so that collectively we would be able to formulate a position and a policy in the government and in the country on these critically important matters. And I use the occasion again to say that in situations where people are engaged in sexual activity, whether they are homosexuals, they are gays, they are lesbians, men having sex with men, women having sex with women, whether they are sex workers, whatever you want to call them, where there are laws on established law books that bring condemnation and discrimination to such persons, we are saying from my vantage point that there needs to be examination of these laws, because we know that by discrimination and stigmatization, these people will not come forward for testing. They will not know their status, or they will hide their status from their own partners. The virus will spread, and thus we will have very little control in bringing proper management to those who are engaged in, those who are suffering, I would say, who are carrying the virus, and those who are suffering from AIDS. So we want this to be part of the debate as well at this particular time. I end by again supporting our young people as they work hard to acquire new skills, new opportunities to impact on their lives. And not only the young people, but there are several middle-aged people, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who are out there on the PEP, also allowing their lives to be positively impacted, and not only on the island of St. Kitts, but also on the sister island of Nevis as well. I think we're out of time, and so I must now run and allow my successor, together with our famous GQ, to take over the control. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, we thank listeners to Kiss FM, Radio 1, Freedom FM, and Choice FM, and of course ZIZ, for joining us for another edition of Ask the Prime Minister. See you next Tuesday at the same time.
Inevitably shall perish from on this earth. So excuse me if I have some apprehension, as it seems we are living with